At Catalyst, we say, a coach talks to you, a mentor talks with you, but a sponsor talks about you. We all should be thinking about what is our perfect network. And I loved what Rami said about having your own personal board of directors. Do you have those trusted coworkers or your army of supporters that are really cheerleading you and supporting you? Do you have friends and partners that give you good counsel? I hear from some women that having a great trainer is important even. I personally have had great mentors inside and outside my organization. They've helped me navigate what I want to do in my career, my crazy artist husband, my kids, and how to make everything work. But I have to say, it was my sponsor that truly impacted my career. I've always been interested in all things global. Anything non-US, I was totally interested in it. And when it came time for our company to expand globally, I had the right person at the right table saying, you know who'd be great for this to lead our market expansion into certain countries? It's Emily. And it truly was my dream job. Our research shows that sponsorship is the key to career advancement. So all these other people in your network are great for development. Sponsor is the key for advancement. So we did a study called The Myth of the Ideal Worker. And that's where we really wanted to look at all the things that you all do. Are they the right things that you need to be doing to advance? And what came out of that was that there were 4 different employee types. There were climbers, people that really pursued internal strategies to advance and climb the ladder within their current company. Then there was hedgers, people who are literally hedging their bets while they're applying the internal strategies. They were also networking with recruiters and external people in case those internal strategies didn't work out, they had a backup. Scanners in the blue, I think we all know scanners, people that are always looking externally to what kind of opportunities are there out there that are not within my company. And then coasters, those are folks that can apply any of them, but to a much lesser extent, so maybe when it's easier. I think it's interesting too with the climbers and the hedgers that an equal representation of men and women are climbers and hedgers too. So, doing all the right things. These are the things that our research report looked at. Are you seeking advice from the right people on how to advance your career? Asking for a variety of work experiences. One of my external mentors said that she used to always ask her boss, give me more challenging work. So I was like, okay, I'll try that. And I got it, for better or for worse. Performing beyond expectations. I think this is something for anyone who's trying to secure sponsorship. You obviously need to rock it at your job. Getting credit. I heard Jessica talk about that earlier, for your work, making your accomplishments known, and getting yourself introduced to people with influence. Being willing to work long hours and weekends. Again, not suggesting anybody do this, but this was one of the things that we looked at. Planning your career 2 to 3 years out, and scanning for opportunities inside and outside the company. So, what do you think worked for men? So these 3 things worked for men. Getting themselves introduced to people of influence, blurring that work-life boundary, working the long hours and weekends, and scanning for opportunities outside the company. For women, it was 2 things. Like men, it was getting yourself introduced and networked with people of influence, but also getting credit for your work by making your accomplishments known. Now, we could stop right here and say, okay, this is what works for men and women, go forth and do that. But I think it's really important to understand why these differences exist and what our research at Catalyst showed. First is hot jobs. Those roles with the big budgets, big visibility, that are mission critical, that are so critical for advancement. Our research shows that women do not get access to these hot jobs like men do. Part of that can be because decisions are made for them. Oh, she wouldn't want that international assignment. She had a baby a year ago. She's definitely not going to want this big job on her plate, it's too stressful, or women literally not being considered for the hot jobs. Credit. And again, we heard a little bit about this earlier, but when there is any doubt about who came up with that amazing novel work idea or who led that performance team to success, both men and women defer to men to give them credit. So this is equal opportunity bias. Both men and women in our research seem to give that credit to men over women. In regards to performance versus potential, so you saw how men were more successful in terms of their compensation and level when they scanned for opportunities outside their job. And they fared much better than men that just stayed at their current company. And that's because men are easier at translating their experience, their credentials, their education into the potential of what their future job will be, while women fare better staying at one company because they have proven performance of how they've done great work at their job. And lastly, the unwritten rules. These are the unspoken norms that folks need to know to gain experience or advance that unfortunately women and other diverse groups are really left out of. Women in our study felt that not having access to the unwritten rules or not understanding the politics was a barrier to a very great extent. So when we were talking about having access to people with influence, we're talking about sponsors. And at a lot of companies we work with, we have 800 companies that we work with, we hear that term mushed together a lot. Mentorship, sponsorship initiatives, mentorship, sponsorship. And I think we know from everything we heard this morning that mentorship is important, absolutely critical for thinking about your career development. But it's going to be your sponsor that is placing you in the hot job that we talked about, putting you up for promotion, making sure you succeed in those roles. And something interesting I should mention is that men have much more senior mentors within organizations, which can bleed into that sponsorship role. So a few tips for attracting a sponsor. Number one, again, be seen. Make yourself and your work visible. No one knows what you are capable of, what you've accomplished, unless they have those data points that they can rely upon. So make sure that you're always letting your manager and other senior leaders know what you've done and what you've accomplished. Number two, taking risks. One of our research reports said that women do not apply for other jobs unless that they fulfill 9 out of 10 of the criteria, that they have experience with 9 out of 10 things listed on the job description. Men will apply for a job if they have 4 or 5. So just think about that a little bit. If you have 7, you're probably good. And then ask for what you want. Nobody can read your mind. You need to be talking with your manager on a regular basis about what are the things and the experiences and opportunities that you really want to have. So I bring this up one more time because I feel like this is such an uncomfortable thing for many women to do, and you don't need to stand on your soapbox and proclaim how amazing you are. There's little things like forwarding a thank you email to senior leaders of a good job that you've done, and you can't just do it once. You have to repeatedly do it. So I'll leave you with 3 takeaways today. Seek out a senior level sponsor. Don't be afraid to take risks with the hot jobs, the big roles. Ask for what you want. Make your accomplishments known, and then take your seat at the table and bring other diverse talent with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Emily. And now we're going to another panel, and please help us welcome on stage